A stranger laughs at your car. You're loading groceries into a 10-year-old sedan, a scuff on the bumper you never fixed, and a guy walking to something newer lets out a little laugh. Not cruel, just certain. Certain he's got you figured out. 5 years ago, that laugh would have ruined your week. 5 years ago, you'd have rolled the window down to explain that the car is a choice, that you could buy his and 6 more, that he had you completely wrong. You'd have carried it for days. Today, you catch your own eyes in the side mirror for half a second. You load the last bag. You drive home. By the next red light, you've forgotten it happened. You didn't even reach for it. Something quiet happened to you on the way up, and you couldn't name the day it did. Nobody warns you about it, because it never announces itself. The flex doesn't die when you get rich. It goes silent. You had to climb through every louder version of yourself to reach that quiet, and every one of them was certain it had already arrived. The number you're worth is about to change 5 times, and somewhere in the middle, it stops being what you earn and starts being what you keep. Watch what that does to the volume. It starts in front of a mirror. You make $29,000 a year, and you are standing in front of a mirror in a 1-bedroom apartment, checking whether the shoe's red. They're white, the logo big enough to catch from across a parking lot, and you turn your foot slightly to see them the way a stranger would. $220. Your car payment this month is $190. You know that. You bought them anyway, and you'd do it again. You protect them like they're alive. You wipe them down with a damp cloth before you leave the house. The phone in your pocket, the one you upgraded the Friday it dropped, the one that quietly added $34 to a bill you'll carry for 2 years, lives inside a case that protects a screen that was already fine. Then your sister's birthday comes, and you hand her a card, and you watch her open it and say, "You didn't have to," and you smile. And you both let the smallness of it sit there for 1 extra second before someone changes the subject. You put nothing in the card because the shoes ate the month. You never say that, but you carry it home with you, a little stone in your shoe you can't shake, that you had $100 once, and it went on your own feet instead of into her hands. And still you don't regret the shoes. That's the part outsiders can't understand. Because look at what anyone can actually see when they look at you. Not your plans, not the person you're clawing to become. That's all locked in an app nobody else gets to open. The shoes are the one thing you get to say out loud. When the world can't see anything true about you, the loudest thing you own becomes the only sentence you get to speak. It works too. People look. You feel them look. And that's exactly when being looked at stops being enough. You make $120,000 now, and you're standing in front of a different mirror in a different place, checking something else entirely. Not whether they'll notice you, whether you look like you belong. The sneakers are gone. You'd be embarrassed by them now. What's in the driveway is a leased German sedan, $640 a month, and you feel exactly how it sits lower and tighter than anything you've ever driven. There's a watch on your wrist that a coworker will notice and quietly price in his head. That pricing, that half second of math on someone else's face, that's the whole reason you bought it. You tell yourself you've gotten more refined, better taste, grown up. Then, one evening you hear yourself at a work dinner, laughing a little too hard at something a man said, a man you don't even like, a man whose approval you'd have called worthless a year ago, and you catch it. You're performing for him. And it hits you that lately, you've been quietly sorting the people in your life by whether they can read what you're wearing, and the friends who can't have been drifting to the edges, uninvited, unreplaced. You didn't lose them in a fight, you just stopped making room because they weren't the audience anymore. You feel it that night for the first time. You're not sure who you're becoming, and you're not sure you'd have liked him a few years ago. You traded the crowd you were begging for a smaller, colder one, and you called it growing up. You earn 4 times what you used to, and somehow you don't feel 4 times safer. The car, the watch, the new zip code, they all grew the second the paycheck did. They had to. Quiet wouldn't have counted in that room, and you tell yourself this is the top of the game, that the people above you must be doing all of this even louder. They're not. You finally got the respect you were starving for. It bought you a ticket to a room you still can't walk into. You're worth $500,000 now, and it's the first number that isn't a paycheck. This is what you kept, not what you make, and keeping it changed you before you noticed. You're in front of the mirror again. You turn your wrist, the watch catches the light, and you feel good. You earned this one. You look like the room you're about to walk into. The dinner is 8 people at a long table. You clock it the second you sit down. Nobody's dressed up. Soft sweaters, no logos. A canvas watch strap on the man at the head of the table who you know, because you looked him up, is worth more than everyone else here combined. Your wrist suddenly feels loud. Nobody says anything about it. That's the part you weren't ready for. You'd braced for a comment, even a joke, something you could laugh off. Instead, there's just nothing. No one looks twice. The watch you rehearsed in the mirror an hour ago lands in the room like a word in a language nobody at the table speaks. You try to enter the conversation. You mention the trip, the deal, the thing that would have impressed the last room. The man at the head of the table nods, polite, and turns a few degrees toward the woman on his left and asks her a question about something small and real, and doesn't turn back. You spend the rest of the dinner talking slightly too much to the person beside you, aware of your own voice. He in the car after. You don't turn the radio on, you just sit for a second before starting it. You take the watch off at a red light, not a decision exactly, more like your hand does it on its own, and you put it in the console, and you don't wear it to the next one. You went quiet after that, not because you understood anything yet, because it was the first room where loud sounded desperate, and quiet worked. The next room let you in. You just didn't know that getting in was the easy part. $1 million. And the thing nobody warns you about is that at this number, people can tell. Not from the car you drive, something forgettable now. They tell from the way your shoulders have loosened, from the way you don't flinch at the check, from something you can't hide even when you try. You stopped broadcasting years ago. It didn't matter. It shows on you now, without your permission. You're in front of the mirror, and for once you're not checking anything. You're just looking, and you can't quite tell what other people see when they look back. Your oldest friend asks to grab a beer. The real kind of friend, the one from before any of this. The one who knew you when the shoes ate the month. It's good. It's easy, the way it always was. For an hour, it's just the two of you, and it's like nothing changed. Then, near the end, he gets quiet, turns his glass a few times, and he says he hates to even bring it up. But there's this thing, this opportunity, and he only needs a little to get it moving. And it isn't the ask that stays with you. It's the 4 seconds before it, the glass turning, the throat clearing, where you realize he'd been building to this the whole time. But maybe the beer was always the wrapper around the ask. You'll never know for sure. That's the worst part. You'll never be able to unwonder it. You give him the money, of course you do, and you lose something anyway, something you can't name and can't get back, in the space where certainty about him used to be. You start noticing it everywhere after that. Someone you hadn't heard from in 3 years texts, "We should catch up." You read it 4 times looking for the ask, and you hate that you're looking. You wanted people to stop seeing a broke kid. You got your wish. Now they see the money first, and you second, and some days they don't get to you at all. So you start hiding it, not to be seen this time, the opposite. You hide it so someone might talk to you like a person again. Weeks later, you're at a dinner, a small one, people you barely know. It ends, and you're driving home, and you're halfway there before it lands on you. Nobody asked what you do. Nobody asked what you have. Nobody did the math the whole night. That's when the relief hits, and you follow it all the way up the last rung. $5 million. You're in a plain gray t-shirt that came 3 to a pack, and there's a coffee going cold next to you, and it's a Tuesday with nothing in it. You have people over on the weekend. You stand around the kitchen and talk about someone's kid starting school, a trip one of them just got back from, whose dog got into the trash again. Not one of you says a word about money the whole afternoon. It never comes up. It's the least interesting thing in the room. You drive the old car still, not to prove anything, You just never think about it. The watch drawer has the loud one in it somewhere, face down, dead battery. You couldn't tell someone the last time you wore it. Your neighbor catches you in the driveway one evening, nods at the sedan, the scuff, the years on it, and says something light, a little dig folded into a joke. When are you going to get yourself a real car? And you smile at him, and you say something easy about how it still runs fine, and you go inside. You didn't explain. You didn't mention the number that would have ended the conversation. 5 years ago, you'd have found a way to let it slip. You'd have needed him to know. Tonight, the thought doesn't even arrive. Not suppressed, just gone. There's a mirror in the hallway. You used to stop at every one. In the one-bedroom apartment, you turned your foot to catch the logo. In the new place, you checked whether you belonged. There was always a version of you rehearsing for a room. Tonight, you walk past it on the way to the kitchen. You don't look. You're not avoiding it. That would still be about the mirror. You're just thinking about something else. And the glass holds your reflection for a second and lets it go. And you never even knew it was there. Saturday, you're at the grocery store, the regular one, the regular cart. You're standing in front of the tomatoes, taking too long. Your mother used to check them like this. Press gently with the thumb, never squeeze. She said you'd know the good one when you felt it. You press one, gently. A man reaches past you for a bag, says a quiet, "Excuse me," and moves on. He doesn't look at you. You don't look at him. He has no idea what you're worth. And standing here, you realize you have no idea what he'd think, if he knew, because it didn't occur to you to wonder. The machine that used to run the numbers on every stranger just didn't start. You pick 2 tomatoes, you put one back, you get the better one. You put it in the cart,